I met Kevin Howell, who is the brains behind Spokes4Hope, about a year ago, and at the time he told me about his charity with such enthusiasm and such pleasure. And I really didn't think that I would have any active association with him, but in September, October, the local Azle mission was talking about whether or not they could actually provide toys for children in Azle this year, because the economy is so difficult, and they're already having a struggle raising enough food to feed the families. And they serve about, anywhere between 100 and 200 families every month in need of food. And so I said, you need toys? Well, what about bikes? And their eyes just kind of got big, and I said, I don't know that I can do anything, but let me call somebody. And I called Kevin, and he stepped out of a meeting to actually talk to me, bless his heart. And I said, Kevin, this is the situation. Azle's mission want to do angel tree presents for children in need, and is there any way that you could provide bikes? And so he said, well, how many? And I said, well, 10. And he said, okay, sure. Is that all? And I said, well, 15. We went up and we settled on 25, because I had no idea how many children actually the mission would have who really requested bikes. So in November, Kevin called me and said, you've got the bikes, and you had one child who is disabled. We think we can get that one. And I got a call in about 24 hours saying, well, we've got the trike for your little girl. And so in November, we met at Cabela's in the parking lot for the big giveaway, and we took two little church buses with families and children who had no way of getting to Cabela's. And we took a huge trailer, and we arrived at Cabela's, and we watched the motorcycle police competing with their skill trials. And then I had some restless children, and I went and asked, and they said, oh, Santa's coming soon. Just watch over in the horizon. And so I said to the little kids, Santa will be coming soon. You have to watch over there. And then there was this thump, 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 thump of a helicopter. And over the horizon came a red helicopter. And, of course, it was really easy to see. There was Santa. And so we all went towards the helicopter, and I had to kind of wait. And Santa landed, and boy, there was almost no restraining them. And so Santa talked to the crowd, and Mrs. Claus was with him. And then he said, I have some elves to help me. And the elves were policemen. And he said to them, would you help me distribute some toys? And they started calling names. And these children's eyes got huge. And they gradually started handing them out. And then the kids started looking at the labels. And, this is mine, this is mine. And all these excited families. And it wasn't just the children. It was the parents who knew their kid had this amazing present. Not only a bike, but a helmet. And the bikes were so astonishingly well matched to the kids. I don't know how they did it, because I had two little girls. They were some of the older children. And one of them had a purple shirt on, and her bike was purple. And her sister had a light pink shirt on, and her bike was pink. And it's like, oh, who could have possibly known? And then we had a little girl called Katie. And Katie has all sorts of health issues. She's medically fragile. She's 15. And I didn't see Katie's bike. And I finally asked a policeman, and he said, "Oh, wait a minute, I'll help you with it." And he cleared other bikes out of the way, and he wheeled this bike over to Katie and her family. And it's Mom, who is a widow, and a big brother, and a younger sister. And this great big, 6'4" policeman, bald, big, muscular, and he wheeled it over, and Mom said, "Katie, let's read what this says." And it said, "To Katie from Santa." And she got it, and I wasn't sure she would really get it. And then Mom said, "Katie, you get to take it home with you." And boy, this is a kid who had brother and Mom on either side. She's on the bike. She's getting on, and fortunately, the officer was wonderfully helpful, and once he got her seated, he adjusted the bike, because they are a wonderful design. They are provided by Ambucks, which is another charitable organization, and they got it adjusted, and then they said, "Katie, you need a helmet on." Well, Katie has this wonderful curly hair, and it was in a ponytail. Well, the helmet wouldn't go on, so Mom just yanks the ponytail out, and the helmet goes on, and the policeman helps her steer, and she gradually pedals, and she's pedaling, and she's got this radiant beam on her face, and she pedals all the way down in front of the bleachers where people are sitting. Well, she's glowing, and they're astonished and thrilled. They stand up and applaud. And the more she's applauded, the more she grins, and she pedaled all the way down to the end of the parking lot. And they turned around, and she came back. And in the meantime, I had found a bike for her sister. It was quite unexpected, but Kevin had said, families need to ride together. And so I wheeled this bike over and said, "Is there somebody called Christine here?" And this little girl just squealed. And so they took home 2 bikes. And the nice thing was, all of the kids that were small got bikes. And in the Angel Tree Giving, they limit the children's age to 12. And so they basically, anyone over 12 wasn't on the list. And Kevin's wife saw an older sibling, and she said, "Well, why aren't you looking for your bike?" "Oh," he said, "I'm too big. I'm too old." And she said, "Oh, no, you're never too old." And she disappeared, and I don't know what she did, what magic she worked, but she came back with a bike for him. And I thought his dad was going to cry. So they took home 3 bikes for that family. And to get them home, we loaded them all on the trailer that somebody had provided. And we got back to the mission house, which is a little dirt parking lot, not dirt, but gravel parking lot. And as we're going down 35, I'm behind the trailer, and labels are flying off. And the gentleman driving the trailer said, "I was worried to death that we wouldn't know which bike belonged to which child." We got to the mission, and they started to untie the harnesses. Every kid knew which their bike was. There was no doubt, even though there were some that were similar. No, they knew their bikes. And as the bikes came off the trailers, each kid got on the bike. And it was like just the most magical moment, because they rode all around the church and the mission house, and they were just so thrilled. It was the happiest time. And I had one little girl come up to me. She's, about 7? And we're undoing the bikes, and she said, "I got a bike." And I said, "You did?" And she said, "Yes, I got a bike." And she said, "And it's beautiful." And she said, "And it's new." And I said, "It is?" And she said, "Oh, absolutely." No, she didn't use absolutely, but she said, "Yes, I never believed I would ever have a bike, and a new one. And bless her heart, her face just was so thrilled. She had not anticipated ever owning a bike, but she knew that if she got a bike, it would be a hand-me-down. It would be used. And for her to have a beautiful pink bike was beyond her concept of wonder. And when her bike came off the trailer, she said, "See, see, see," and she's on it and she's pedaling away. And they must have ridden their bikes around for about half an hour before parents kind of herded them and started taking them home. But they were just so thrilled. I mean, it was one of the happy events that this year has provided. And this was an experience that I was just extraordinarily privileged to be part of. And I had no idea just the joy that this was going to be. But on a more serious note relative to this, we have a crisis, and I work in healthcare, so I understand what's going on. And I attended a conference recently where they talked about children who live in situations, economically hard situations, that they don't exercise because they're in a higher risk of a dangerous neighborhood. They don't have the wherewithal to exercise. And now we have 25 kids who are riding bikes, and so we are providing exercise for them, which will make them healthier and which will give them a longer life, even though they are not in a rich environment of wealth and education. So it's a double benefit, not just joy, but health. Oh, I just rattled.